For years, the tension between William Ransom and Jamie Fraser has felt impossible to resolve. Every conversation between them carried distance, anger, and confusion. William struggled with the truth about his real father, while Jamie tried desperately to respect the boundaries that had defined their relationship for so long. It created a painful divide between two people who were connected by blood, yet separated by years of silence and emotional conflict. But now, everything may have changed. Because for the first time, William isn't standing against Jamie. He's standing beside him. And the reason is more emotional than anyone expected. When news spreads that Lord John Grey is in danger, the situation immediately becomes personal. Lord John isn't just an ally or family friend to William, he's the man who raised him, protected him, and shaped the person he became. Losing him is unthinkable. Which forces William into a decision he never imagined making. Joining Jamie and Claire Fraser on a dangerous rescue mission. And that single choice changes the emotional atmosphere instantly. Because this is no longer about family secrets or resentment. It's about survival, about putting aside years of tension for someone they all care about deeply. The urgency of Lord John's situation pushes everyone into unfamiliar territory, especially William, who suddenly finds himself traveling and strategizing beside the very man he has spent so long trying to keep at a distance. That tension never fully disappears. In fact, it almost makes the journey more intense. Every interaction between William and Jamie feels loaded with unspoken emotion. There are moments where they seem ready to argue, moments where silence says more than words ever could. William still carries confusion and anger about the truth of his birth, and Jamie continues struggling with the guilt of everything his son lost because of that truth. But something begins shifting during the rescue mission. Not dramatically, not all at once. It happens in smaller moments. Moments where William sees Jamie act without hesitation, risking himself to protect others. Moments where Jamie instinctively watches over William even when he tries not to show it. And slowly, the image William built in his mind begins to crack. Because for the first time, he isn't hearing stories about Jamie Fraser. He's witnessing the man himself. And that reality feels far more complicated than he expected. What makes these scenes so powerful is that neither character fully knows how to handle the emotional weight between them. Jamie wants to reach out, but fears pushing too hard. William wants to remain guarded, but can't ignore what he's beginning to see. Especially during moments of danger. Because nothing reveals character faster than crisis. As the mission becomes more dangerous, the emotional walls between them begin weakening almost against their will. One particular moment changes everything, a split second where William finds himself directly in danger, and Jamie reacts instantly, without thought for his own safety. And William notices. Not just the action itself, but the instinct behind it. It wasn't duty, it wasn't obligation, it was the raw, immediate reaction of a father protecting his son. And for someone who spent so long resisting that connection, the realization hits harder than expected. That's where the emotional core of this storyline truly begins. Because the rescue mission isn't only about saving Lord John anymore. It becomes the first real opportunity for William to see Jamie outside of anger, outside of history, outside of the painful circumstances that shaped their relationship. And what he sees confuses him. Because Jamie isn't the villain William tried to make him into. But accepting that truth creates another problem entirely. If Jamie truly cares for him this deeply, then it forces William to confront emotions he has spent years avoiding. Which makes every scene between them feel emotionally explosive. Meanwhile, Claire quietly becomes the bridge holding everything together. She understands both men in ways they don't fully understand themselves, and her presence softens moments that might otherwise collapse into confrontation. She sees the pain in Jamie, the conflict inside William, and recognizes that this rescue may be changing far more than any of them realize. And perhaps that's the biggest shock of all. Because fans expected tension, they expected conflict, they expected another painful clash between father and son. Instead, they're watching the beginning of something else. Not full reconciliation, not yet. But the first fragile signs of understanding. Which is why this rescue mission feels so important to the future of Outlander. It isn't simply an action storyline or another dangerous adventure. It's an emotional turning point, one that quietly reshapes the dynamic between William and Jamie in ways that may never fully reverse again. And by the end of it all, one question becomes impossible to ignore. After fighting beside Jamie Fraser, can William ever truly see him as a stranger again? As emotional as the rescue mission already feels, the real impact may come after the danger is over, because once William Ransom fights beside Jamie Fraser, there's no easy way for either of them to return to how things were before. That's what makes this storyline so powerful. For years, William kept Jamie at a distance because distance felt safer. It allowed him to protect the version of life he understood, the identity he had built around being the son of Lord John Grey. Accepting Jamie emotionally would mean reopening wounds he has spent years trying to control. But during the rescue mission, those emotional defenses begin falling apart. Not because Jamie demands anything from him, but because William starts seeing things he can no longer ignore. He sees Jamie's leadership under pressure, the way others trust him instinctively even in dangerous situations. He sees the sacrifices Jamie is willing to make without hesitation. And most importantly, he sees the quiet emotional restraint Jamie carries every second they are together. That restraint matters. Because Jamie never tries to force William into accepting him as a father. In fact, he almost does the opposite. He keeps his distance emotionally even while risking his life physically, as if he believes protecting William is the only right he still has. And that realization affects William more deeply than he expected. Because genuine love without expectation is difficult to dismiss. One of the most emotional aspects of this storyline is how much remains unspoken between them. They rarely discuss their feelings directly, yet every interaction carries emotional weight beneath the surface. A glance, a pause during conversation, a moment of hesitation before trusting one another, all of it reveals how conflicted both men truly are. And Claire notices everything. Claire Fraser understands that the rescue mission is slowly transforming William emotionally, even if he doesn't fully realize it himself yet. She sees the tension softening in subtle ways, sees moments where William begins reacting to Jamie less like an enemy and more like someone he is struggling to understand. That internal struggle becomes impossible to hide after one particularly dangerous moment during the rescue. When the situation suddenly turns violent, Jamie once again puts himself directly in harm's way to protect William without hesitation. There's no calculation behind it, no strategy, just instinct. And this time, William truly understands what he's witnessing. Not loyalty. Not duty. Fatherhood. That realization shakes him. Because no matter how hard William tries to separate himself emotionally from Jamie, moments like this force him to confront something painful. The connection between them exists whether he wants it to or not. Blood, emotion, instinct, all of it keeps pulling them back toward each other despite years of resistance. And that changes the emotional tone of everything moving forward. By the time they finally reach Lord John, the mission feels bigger than the rescue itself. Saving him still matters deeply, but now another emotional story has emerged beneath the surface. The beginning of a relationship neither Jamie nor William fully knows how to navigate yet. Even Lord John seems to sense it. Because he understands both men better than almost anyone else. He knows William's emotional confusion, and he knows the quiet pain Jamie has carried for years. Watching them fight beside one another forces everyone to confront the possibility that this fractured family dynamic may finally be evolving into something different. Not healed, but changing. And perhaps that's why fans are reacting so strongly to this storyline. It delivers action and danger, yes, but beneath all of that is something far more emotional. A father and son who spent years separated emotionally are finally being forced into the same space long enough to see each other clearly.